Good morning. This is the second time I am filming this because after I watched the first one, I wanted to correct myself in a few things. So, here we go. It's me and you sitting at my kitchen table. Early morning coffee talk. And we're going to talk about surrender. It's the Documented Faith first word of 2019. And it is maybe your one little word for the year, but it is also a word that we need to practice daily, sometimes hourly, because we're always going to have to surrender. Surrender it all. Surrender to Jesus. Surrender to God. I made some notes today. So if someone wanted us to deny Jesus and we were held at gunpoint and said, deny Jesus, and you didn't, and they shot you, you'd be dead. That's a big surrender. You're not going to deny that. But what about the little things? Like having to have the last word in a conversation, or having to be in front of the line, or in traffic, you always have to be in front of the crowd or in front of the traffic. What if we pulled back and we surrendered just a little bit here and there, all day, every day? We're practicing putting others in front of us. It's not going to be a big deal if that car gets to the red light before you, because 9 times out of 10 when people are swerving through traffic, they're going to be at the red light with you. And don't feel like you have to look over at them, and just surrender it. Give it up. It causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of unneeded junk if you just surrender. But you have to do it over and over. So I made some notes. Jesus surrendered his privilege to be living in heaven without coming to earth and dealing with all the junk, because he understood how the incredible joy would override the momentary cost of whatever it was, whether it was whatever situation was. So he surrendered to the moment. So what if we did that? What if we surrendered to the moment? So I want you to think about that this week. And here are some little things that you can think about. So, like I said, giving up the last word. When you're in a conversation and you listen to someone, and then when they're done, you say, yeah, but, and then you give up your whole scenario. I call that one-uppers. Just listen. Just surrender having to say the last word, and surrender to whatever they're talking about, and just listen. Maybe give up your place in line, whether it's in traffic, or it's at the grocery store, or at the double McDonald's drive-thru when you're just trying to get an iced tea for $1 and there's 2, and I find myself doing that, like, hurry up and place my order so I can get up before them. That's so dumb, but I do it when I go to get iced tea. So surrender that, because that causes anxiety and you don't realize it until you're doing it. Maybe surrender doing things on your own. I read this thing that said, winning the trophy for Miss Independent is not something you want. We have to remember that we need to accept help from others, and also to remember, then this is a big one, Jesus did nothing by himself. So why do we think we can do things on our own? We need help from others. So practice humility. Surrender the thought that you have to do things on your own. Maybe surrender giving up finding the clear answer before you do something. Sometimes we wait, we look for signs, and we just need to step out in faith, right? Maybe give up the idea that you have to have that confirmation of something Maybe surrender your desire to know before you go and depend on God. Trust Him and His plan. I'm not the boss of you, but I'm just sharing my experience that in the past year, through Revelation Wellness, through the training, through the reading, through the studying, I have been reminded to get out of the way of God, get out of the way of myself, surrender, then He can do all the work. And it provides such a ridiculous amount of freedom that it's overwhelming. And maybe we don't realize it. It's like a clogged drain. We don't realize how clogged it is until you clear it. And then, when you have a clogged drain, fill up your sink and it's a slow drain. Just whatever. You leave it there for a month or 6 months. And then you get Drano and you clear it out and the water just rushes through and you don't realize how much you have gotten in the way of what God has for you. That's just my experience. I know everyone is experiencing it or does experience it different ways, but I will say this. I do not think it's any coincidence that the Little Way Challenge is going on right now while I'm talking about surrender, because it's the little things we need to surrender, not the big things, where I surrender my life and my dreams and my family and my business, like all of the big words. We think we surrender, and then when it comes to the little things, we are still trying to be in control. That's all I got for you. Surrender. You have nothing to lose. Nothing. Nothing. So my challenge to you is to surrender the little things. Just go for it. Make a list, or even just don't make a list when you're driving. Just let that guy pass. Maybe he's late for Bible study. When you're in the line in the grocery store, just let someone go before you. At the bank, go before you. At the McDonald's drive-thru, go before you. Hold your thoughts. Let someone else speak, and just refrain from having to have the last word. See what happens. Have a great week. See you next week.